Welcome to Becoming PowHERhouse, where we discuss the tough lessons I've learned while taking my two companies from negative revenue to over 7 figures. We'll talk about the raw and vulnerable truths about being boss, as well as tips and strategies you can implement immediately for better business results. I'm your host, Nicole Overcamp, the founder and CEO of Wilcox Financial Group and PowHERhouse Coaching. You can see links and other resources in our notes. Don't forget to head over to PowHERhouseMoney.com to grab your free PowHER bundle for business and subscribe to our newsletter. Now, let's dive in to today's episode. All right, let's talk about money. That subject that we all like to avoid, or maybe the thing that we don't want to talk about, or maybe we just think about it all too much. So, in celebration of International Women's Day this week, and depending on when you're listening to it, in the month of March, we are celebrating women, the progress we have made, and all the things that are happening. And we cannot ignore money and power. And so I really want to spend some time this podcast just talking a little bit about some barriers that we're still facing, how we can move the needle, because why bother talking about something if we can't make a change and move the needle and make it better for not only ourselves moving forward, but the women around us. Like, that is what this is all about. Like, let's make our lives better. Let's make them more secure, stable, less stressful, and of course, improve the lives of our daughters and women ahead of us. So, or behind us. I'm not really sure how that should go, but in any event, hopefully you get the point. So, money, it's the thing that touches everything that we do, and we talk about it all the time. And there's this like myth of, hey, money doesn't buy happiness, but like the fuck it doesn't. Look, like, money is not happiness. You have to do fulfilling work. You have to be surrounded by people who light you up and make sure that we have reasonable expectations about happiness in general, because you're not going to be happy every day, because that's like life. However, the reality is that when you have more money, or control over your money rather, and the amount of money is relative to everyone, you stress a lot less. You build in more freedom. You have more choice and the ability to truly give back more, help your family more, whatever it is that is valuable to you. So let's just throw that bullshit thing out the window, because I think it was founded by somebody who just didn't want anybody else to feel secure. So it is okay to want to be wealthy. It is okay to want to make more money and have more of it. There's nothing dirty about it. And I talk about that all the time. If you are a genuinely good person and do good things, having more money is only going to amplify that, right? And same goes if you're an asshole. And so, I've probably repeated this over and over again in various different ways, but it's important to say. And so, money. Are we really owning it? And what I mean by that is, are we in control of it, or are we letting it control and consume us? The more control we have over our money, the more choices we're making, but we're also then able to convert it from an uncomfortable conversation to the reality of using it as a tool for freedom, choice, impact. And that's really what I want more women to be able to have and own, is more financial power. And it's not just making more money, but it's investing in ourselves, building economic independence, and really accelerating progress in our businesses, in our communities. And women's economic empowerment isn't just like a personal selfish win. It is literally an economic necessity. When we invest in ourselves and women, we're investing in entire communities, because statistically, we give back more to the community we help our employees. We're hiring more people. We're paying them, fair and very good wages, and we're giving back to our families. And so I want to talk about some of the barriers that typically hold us back from gaining more financial power as business owners, some mindset shifts to consider, and then strategies to build long lasting financial success. So let's dive in. First is the barriers that we face as women business owners, and some of these things are pretty obvious. And it would be nice to think that in 2025 they don't exist anymore, but they do. So the first is really thinking about funding, right? And bias that occur. And so again, I am, and I'll be the first to admit, like, I see bias all the time. First of all, I am a woman in the finance space, and this space in finance is like more bro than ever, or maybe not more than ever. There's more women coming in, but I mean, it is very much a man's game still. And newer, younger generations are definitely getting better. I'm seeing things get better, but for the most part, like, I'm always surrounded by a bunch of dudes, and the opportunities aren't the same. I have made my own opportunities. I've made my own success. I've carved my own pathway. However, any thing that goes on in other firms or even within my broker dealer, I'm not getting the same, hey, buddy, work on this case with me, or help me out here and I'll pay you. Like, those conversations just don't happen with me. It's very isolating. And there's a double standard a lot of the time with women too, where, a group of guys can go out for drinks and be buddies and help each other with business. I go out with a group of guys and I'm sleeping with them. Like, that is the assumption that is made, especially in my industry. And that might not be true for everyone, but it is absolutely this ridiculous double standard. And, we want to hope that it becomes more fair, or different types of conversations are being had. But like, that's just the world we're living in still. And it's ridiculous. And so that's one thing, is that there is that bias. And even when it comes to myself, and now that I'm older, I look a little bit middle-aged, if you will, I don't have the same amount of extreme bias when I first started in the industry. But when I started years ago, I mean, I got, hey, honey, sweetheart, sure. A lot of people not taking me seriously, no matter how much I knew, and just this extreme amount of disrespect compared to my male colleagues who knew half as much as I did, or even the same amount, and got treated as if they were brilliant and I was like a child. So, that happened. And now I think often when I go to places, the immediate thought, especially when I'm with my spouse and we're at industry events, we walk into rooms and people immediately assume Chris is the advisor, and immediately assume I'm just the arm candy, and start talking to him directly. Whenever we go buy a car, they talk to him. Whenever we go do anything that has to do with an exchange of large amounts of money, the conversation is typically directed towards him, if it's not somebody that we know personally or a relationship. And so, and when it comes to funding, if you are in the venture capitalist space, or seeking venture capital or funding, there is an extraordinary discrepancy between what women get for funding from VCs and what men get. There's a big discrepancy. However, it is changing. It is increasing. Statistically, we are coming up in the ranks too, as being the breadwinners in our family. So this isn't all negative, but I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't mention it. But more importantly, who gives two shits about what those biases are? How can we change them? How can we move forward and address this? And I think for me, the way I address the bias now, going back since 2012 when I started my own firm, was I started my own firm. I paved my own path. I started a firm for women and grew and became successful going after what I knew to be true to me and what was authentic. I knew women made money. I knew they were successful. So, who cares what everybody else said about that? I did it. I paved my own path, and I just ignored the bias, and I didn't let them affect me. I didn't play the victim card. I found a way. And women are resilient. They're resourceful. We can all find a way. And the more that we support each other and band together, we can continue to do this. And there are many now women investors or venture capitalists, that are owned by women, led by women, investing in women. And so if you are someone who does need funding, seek those firms specifically, and look at what grants are available or who can help mentor you or point you in the right direction or help you pitch effectively to win dollars, ahead of your male colleagues. And so I think it's so important to, number one, yep, these are the biases. These are the things that happened to me. I think all of us probably have a Me Too story, or anything that happened. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because it's what is. I want to spend time on what can be or things that we can do. And so really think about how you can change that narrative in your own life against the things that you're seeing. And if you're not sure, uncertain of where to go, like that's what I mean, like reach out to me. I will help you to the effect that I can or connect you with somebody I know, but we have to do a better job of talking about the barriers out loud, asking more questions, and just seeking the right help, because there are absolutely people to help us. Sometimes we just don't know where to go, and that's okay. And so that's what we are here for in the community. Okay. And the other thing too about this is that we've been raised or conditioned, depending on your generation, generally to think that we should save and not take big risks, or don't take up a lot of space, or don't be loud and just be grateful for what you have, and be risk adverse and make everybody happy, and you need to be super accommodating, and all this junk essentially that clutters our thought process around wanting to take up space, wanting to be louder, wanting to ask for more, get after it, take risk, and invest in ourselves. And so that definitely is there as far as more of that nature or nature nurture part of the systemic things that have gone on in society as well. And so depending on how you grew up or how you were raised with your money mindset, that could be playing into how you're attacking things and addressing things as well, which leads me into another barrier is really mindset and imposter syndrome. And I can't even count on my hand, like there's so many dozens of times of which I let imposter syndrome fuck with me and hold me back from choices that I should have made or chances I should have taken or bet on me. And I didn't. I backed out or I didn't show up just because I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like I was good enough or worthy. And I was so afraid of someone seeing me, quote unquote, seeing me and thinking like, oh, who is she to be here? She doesn't belong. She's got such a small business, or she doesn't know anything, or whatever crap story I said in my head. And so, and I think it's also, I don't think I know, it has held me back from speaking up on multiple occasions about what I wanted to be paid or what I believe in, or asking questions so that I could become better. I always struggled with that quite a lot. Imposter syndrome, confidence issues, notoriously throughout my entire life career, up until really, actually, my husband became one of my biggest advocates and also called me out on my bullshit a lot. He was the first person to say, like, don't complain, do something. Don't complain, ask for it. Don't complain, go get it. Don't be afraid, just do it. And in building that confidence into me, but really more or less calling me out on my BS. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's not like I'm going to get stabbed. Like, this is a relatively low risk game I'm playing here, right? So, stop being a victim. And I did. And so now I look at imposter syndrome, and I would love to challenge you to do the same. Is like, how can we take imposter syndrome and actually look at it as an exciting moment where we know we're doing the right things and we're in the right rooms? Because imposter syndrome actually is a signal that we are growing. It means we're getting uncomfortable. We're doing something new. We're meeting the right people. I love now being the dumbest person in the room. Love it, because it means that I'm going to expand my mindset. It means I'm going to learn something new, and I am going to walk away energized and thrive more because of what those people poured into me. Okay. And so imposter syndrome is actually a beautiful thing. So it's okay to still have that fear or feel discomfort, but it's not okay. It's not okay to miss the opportunity or not take those chances or not show up. You have to brave it out and do the thing and go there. And so imposter syndrome is a beautiful thing. And so we need to convert our mindset to really know it's okay to feel the feels. It's not okay to miss the opportunity, right? And continue to show up. And that's a muscle that you will continue to build on over time. And this doesn't discriminate against age, experience, or anything. Believe me, I have talked to so many women of which who intimidated me and I admired, and they go through the same thing in different seasons or variances. This morphs. And so the biggest thing is not that it goes away, because if it goes away, that's not necessarily good either. It means perhaps you've stopped growing, but that you look at it and address it differently and have enough conviction that you belong. Period. You belong everywhere at any time, especially if you know about it, you belong. Show up, do the thing, ask for the thing, and stop playing small and stop self-sabotaging yourself. Like, it's got to go. Okay. And start challenging any traditional norms. So if you know that something is an outdated stereotype or someone else is being passive, where you should insert a opinion or a fact or a thought, do that thing. Start to speak up, start to raise your hand, be that person, be that voice, because when you're bold and when you take chances and speak up or fight for yourself or what you want or advocate fiercely for what you know to be true or what you know is fair for you, you're giving permission to the next woman to do the same. So we really need to continue to be more courageous. And then the next thing is money. Okay. There's so many women that I talk to every single day that are like capable and have potential, like wild potential beyond like belief, especially beyond their own belief. And what's really important to know and understand here is that like money, as I said before, is a tool. And if you want to have more security, be prepared for life when it happens, be able to give back more, pay your employees more, grow your company more, help your family, whatever it is that you want to do, you cannot shy away from the money conversation. You can't. And you don't necessarily need to be the financial guru, but you do need to understand your numbers. You need to understand your numbers in your business, what they mean, the story that they tell, what you need to change and tweak. You need to be realistic about expectations. And we really need to understand how those numbers can work for us. When was the last time you actually thought about, number one, what you wanted, what it takes to get there, and then what levers do you have to pull in your business to get more profitable or to scale, or what do you need to change, or what do you even need to get out of your business to get what you want in your personal life, right? And bleeding those two together, they go hand in hand as this like really well integrated marriage. And so it's so important to understand that, and also understand the difference between revenue and profit and all of the things that happen in between there. It's a huge thing that we help our clients with, and in showing them their potential and what they're capable of achieving, but then reverse engineering how to make it all happen, because there are so many moving parts, and it's important to break it down into pieces that are bite-sized, that you can digest, that you understand. And it's so important to make sure that you are asking questions until you understand. The professionals that work for you, they work for you, which means they owe you answers that you understand. So if there is something that you want a deeper dive on or more clarity, ask. They work for you. And so don't be afraid to speak up and ask your accountant, your bookkeeper, your financial advisor, and it's so critical that they all collaborate. I mean, that is non-negotiable for us and our clients, that we're working with, that we're collaborating with their team so that we are working in their best interest. So you must know your numbers, understand your numbers, and ask questions, because if you want to move the needle in your numbers, you got to know what you're dealing with. So you cannot avoid that. And I know, especially for women, it is an easy thing to avoid. It's an easy thing to want to ignore, but you just can't. So, that said, let's talk about, thinking about you, investing in yourself, and what your growth strategy may look like. So going back to mindset now and how you can start to shift the conversation you have in your head. If you are finding yourself saying like, oh, I'm bad with money, or I'm never going to make this happen, like stop. Anytime that, and I challenge you to do this, anytime you start to say something negative, I want you to stop, pause, and convert it into a valuable question. So for example, instead of saying I'm bad with money, say, how can I become great with money? Money is a language we all have to learn. We're not born with it. We have to learn it. And so how can I get good with money? Did I even allow myself to try? How can I make my business more profitable? Importantly, who can help? Who can help? Always ask for help. We are here to help and support each other. We all have different expertises. I was at the doctor this morning, and he's also a client of mine, and I'm dealing with some stuff, with my hip and my back because I'm old as fuck and things are just like falling apart. But he was explaining to me like these things that were going on in my spine and the difference between like the ligaments and what's messed up and the bulge, and I don't know, all these medical terms he was saying, of which I'm not going to repeat because I can if I tried. And he looked at me and he's like, do you understand? And I looked at him and I said, no, I don't. I have no idea what you just said or what any of that just meant. Like, can you break it down in terms that I can repeat, but better yet, understand, so I know what the expectations are and what progress looks like, right? And he was more than happy to take time and talk to me for another 10 minutes about this. And so I walked away actually knowing more about the circumstance of progress I've made, a lot less defeated, which was huge for my mindset. Because if you are not operating like you're used to operating, it does mess with your confidence. It messes with your mindset. And so you have to ask those questions. Money is no different. The reason I told you this story is because he said back to me, he goes, well, now you know how I feel when you're talking about investments, right? And he said, and that's why I ask questions. So he said, don't you feel guilty? And so it was, number one, nice reminder and permission that like, yeah, on the other side, I'm not meant to know this and he's not meant to know that. So we need to help each other by doing a better job educating and asking questions. And oh, by the way, it's perfectly acceptable. Okay. And if the person that you are asking the questions to seems annoyed or like they don't have time for you, just find a new person. Like, let's be honest. There's a lot of professionals out there. There's good ones, there's bad ones. Like, find an A, okay? Next is owning your confidence and commanding your worth. So really important to understand your worth and believe in it. And maybe you need to borrow it from a mentor, a coach, an advisor of what that is. But you bring a lot of experience to the table. You bring heart to the table. You're probably better at what you do than anybody else. Don't forget that. And forget just like an isolated billable hour. You need to take into consideration how much time you invested to learn all the things that you know to get to where you are now. And you may do things a lot faster than everybody else because you're so damn good at it. And so don't screw yourself over by just thinking in this little capsule. Also, how much time are you spending on things outside of client-facing time, especially if you're a service-based business? So make sure that you're pricing appropriately, that your prices and your packages and everything that you're charging actually makes sense for your business. Don't discount or discredit all of the overhead that you have, and therefore make sure that you're charging appropriately for things that you're utilizing tenant and contractors for, if you have those instead of employees or a combination of both. And that's really, again, where it goes to knowing your numbers, but not being shy to, number one, ask for what you're worth and understanding how valuable you are in the service that you're providing as an asset. And that's where confidence really comes from. And it is a muscle you have to build. And I have interviewed and talked to, again, so many women, and the number one barrier that I see between like where they are now to really accelerating is a shift in confidence, like being more bold and really having that conviction in, hey, no matter what, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do it. I am good enough. I deserve it. I am worthy. So that is huge. You have to take that mindset and start to repeat it to yourself. Like, I am worthy. I am worth the effort. And that also means doing hard things. It means tough love. It means showing up when you don't feel like it, because you're worth it and you can. So keep that in mind. Don't cop out on yourself. Like that is, again, screwing yourself over. Knock it off. Next is really leveraging tech. We have to charge at this stuff, you guys. Can't shy away from it. So, forget the fear of maybe, AI replacing parts of your business or somebody else taking over. I'm talking to small business owners, right? If you're listening to this podcast and so you're nimble, you can do better. Leverage the shit out of technology and know how to use it so that you can be more effective. You can scale better. You can increase your profit margins and invest more money into human things that provide more value and get rid of all of the redundancies or the things that can be automated or done by technology. And if you are not sure what that looks like, again, like, let's chat, let's talk it out. I can help refer you to experts here, but it's so important that you take advantage of this. We are in this extremely unique period of time where there's just so much available right now for free or a very low cost, where you can really 10x your output. And it is so cool. And it's so much fun if you just start to dig in and attack it versus being intimidated by it. Okay. It will really help you to leverage so much more. Next, setting boundaries. If you want to not burn out and not resent your business and feel good about all of the things, your time, the people you're spending, your time with, and in the business, set boundaries. For the love of God, stop saying yes to everything. Start asking yourself, is this a hell yes? If it is not a hell yes, start saying no more often. The things that you're being asked to do, whether they are an activity, a commitment, an ask, a donation, money, whatever, anything that you're asked, before you respond, first pause and ask, is this aligned with what I want most? Is it aligned with my future self? Is it aligned with the goals of my business? Or is it exhausting, depleting, or a distraction? Start to ask yourself those questions and feel okay and confident saying no. If you don't start doing that, it will lead to burnout quicker, but also it will slow your growth. Okay. Really important. And then keep the long game in mind. There is no overnight success. And if you think there is, get off your unicorn. Okay. This stuff takes time. But again, it's worth it. And the more that you apply these things that I talked about, the quicker you will see success. But you have to keep that vision in place. You have to have a vision and goals and do the planning and know that you are worth it, and to start investing in the people to help you get there. Okay. When you hire a professional, you're paying for speed. You're paying for them to help you along the way so you don't make the same expensive mistakes they did. I tell my clients that all the time. I want to help you avoid those things. And we don't know what we don't know. There's so much value in that. And also, there's value in someone holding you accountable to just do the damn thing anyways. Because I don't know about you, but I'm great at procrastinating and great convincing myself anything is a good idea. And so I need people to help me accelerate, to push me, to have that belief in me, to know I'm capable when sometimes I don't believe I'm capable. Okay. And then the last thing that I want to talk about here is your network. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I say that all the time. Your network is your net worth. Who are you hanging out with? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Is your circle expanding your mind, asking you hard questions, forcing you to level up your game, or challenging your thought process? Or is everyone you're surrounded with saying yes all the time? Is everyone you're surrounded with depleting your energy or draining your time in a way where you aren't walking away, where you're all lit up and excited and have energy? And so pay attention to your energy, pay attention to who you're talking to and what they're talking about. Is it big ideas? Is it small talk? Is it draining? Really tune into that. And you may need to find a new circle or add to your circle, delete people in your circle. There's nothing wrong about that. And it's okay. It's healthy. You go through different seasons in life and you expand and you change, and that's natural and normal. So try to eliminate the guilt around it and really surround yourself with the people who light you up and they're headed in the same direction you are. I cannot tell you how game-changing that is. I have a whole podcast on this, you guys. Look for it in terms of, your circle, your network. Really important. And so in closing, I just really want to reiterate how important it is that we start taking ownership and conviction in the things that we want, talking about money more, building our worth, understanding the numbers, and all the mindset things that go along with that, because our ability to be empowered and raise the bar economically is massive. And if we are growing our businesses and helping the women around us, we are in fact investing in our communities and building them stronger and changing the game for women in wealth and their net worth and all of the things that we're doing. And so the time is now to start doing the thing for yourself, for your family, start talking, being your own and best advocate and building your wealth because you deserve it. Your future deserves it. You work too hard not to get that. And so I want you to start making these moves. And so please stop undercharging or overthinking the things that you want to do. Charge your worth and do the things, ask for the things that you want. Invest in your business, invest in your financial future, hire the right professional team, and say no to all the things that no longer serve you or stunt your growth. The world needs more women speaking up and doing the things that are true to them, building wealth, creating jobs, and making an impact. And it starts with you. It starts with me and us together working. So let's stop waiting. Let's start building and let's make more money, have more power, and create more positive change in the world. So until next time, my powerhouses, continue to be courageous. Thanks so much for listening to Becoming PowHERhouse. You can find all of the links to our site and resources in the show notes. Let's connect on Instagram at PowHERhouse Money, and don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at PowHERhouseMoney.com. Remember, I want to connect with you. I want to hear your thoughts and help you with all the challenges you're having. So engage, send me a DM. And of course, if you're loving this podcast, let us know and go ahead and hit the subscribe button and leave a review.